Hey guys, it's John. You're in the JRB Tree Climbing channel. My channel has been around now over 3 years, and the very first video I did was called the JRB Climbing Method. That method remains my favorite method. It's a doubled stationary rope technique, and as I've told you before, I reserve the right to make it better. Okay, so first and foremost, one of the biggest challenges I have as time goes on is presenting information to you in a manner that you can always find the latest and greatest, and you're able to distinguish historical information from the new stuff. And so please refer to my website, jrbtreeclimbing.com. That's where you can go. It's well organized. There's different pages for different climbing methods, and you can find the latest information. The information on the DSRT playlist, you can find that on my channel. This will, as I release this video, be the first video as I'm reintroducing this system with some improvements. And you can watch the rest of that playlist down to the bookmark video. That's where I've got the historical stuff underneath that. Okay. DSRT, doubled stationary rope technique. We're going to be doing today a bit differently. We're going to be using the Longhorn Agile friction hitch. You've seen me experiment with the Mishakon, with the double Mishakon, with the JRB Ascender, with the Agile Hitch, and now with the Longhorn Agile Hitch. It was introduced last year, and my team is just loving this friction hitch. It's easy to tie, and it's easy to work with, and it's easy to break under load. So as I take off my system, I'm going to be talking you through it. I'm going to be climbing the tree behind me here. Now, I just used a throw ball. See my video and see the video description for any videos I mentioned today. See my video about throw ball basics and paracord preset usage. I just used this throw ball. It took me 3 tries to get it over the intended crotch, and then I put up a piece of paracord. And I hit it in that tree. And I could come back a year, 2 years, 5 years from now and climb this tree using that preset to get my rope in the tree. I'll do that in a moment. Now, I don't wear a backpack when I walk into the woods. I have a small crossbody bag with my necessities, and here's my rope. This is incredibly stable. What I've got here is my bridge is so long it can act like a set of suspenders with my rope on the back. So let's take that off. Take off my bridge, and now I'm going to take apart this system. It's in a butterfly coil. I've got a video on that. This could be considered a universal system, and therefore this video will appear on a couple of playlists. So I'm going to take you through it as I undo it and take you from one end to the other. What's on both ends? This is my JRB end loop, and I fashioned this one out of an orange paracord. It's got a little bit of heat shrink tubing on it, and that is going to go up into the tree. And beneath it is my first Longhorn Agile friction hitch. So let's put that up into the tree, and as I do so, we're going to follow the line up into the tree. But what's important is this goes up into the tree crotch. We don't want my friction hitch to get stuck, right? We don't want that to get stuck. And so what we can do is we can clip our little rigging carabiner into the friction hitch. Hook it into the friction hitch and rig that up. Now, in a particular tight crotch, it's possible that this won't pass, and that's not a big deal because the Longhorn Agile is so easy to take on and take off. We would just back it off, remove the hitch, and rig it here. But that shouldn't be necessary. I mean, this is kind of a rough barked tree, but I don't think we're going to have any trouble getting this through the crotch. Okay, so here's how it works. Here's my paracord preset. It's been hidden above you and out of the reach of any vines that might grow and want to reach that paracord. Got a video on how to rig these paracord presets up, but I've got it rigged around the tree. And I've got a convention. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I've been doing it an awful long time, and that's where I send my rope up on the right side of the tree. If I'm arriving at a tree at dark and I'm not sure if my lines are crossed, I can wiggle these lines and I don't feel any bouncing. And now I'm going to bring this up over the tree crotch. Now, If you're an SRT climber and you have to set an anchor to climb, make note that I don't need to do that. I don't need to monkey around with any kind of an anchor. So let's remove my paracord preset. I'll put it aside. And obviously the last tree I climbed was a little bit taller because my other friction hitch hasn't come into view yet. Well, here it is. Here's the other friction hitch. Let's slide that up. Here's my primary bridge. I've got two bridges on my saddle, and again, because this one is so long, it allows it to be used as a set of suspenders. And I clip it into both of the Longhorn Agile loops. So in terms of the Longhorn Agile, I've got a dedicated video for tying it, and I'll need to ask you to refer to that should you wish to employ it. Also got a dedicated video for this beast. This is the JRB Hitch foot loop, and it's got this other little loop on it. I call this my best friend. I tie this into my second bridge. Yes, I got my saddle equipped with two bridges such that I always have two independent moving points of attachment onto the rope to my hips, to my center of gravity. I have a hard time trying to figure out how I could possibly fall with this system. The tree would need to fail or my rope would need to fail because I've got redundancy. So it's this easy to put your garter hitch on. It's pretty amazing, actually. Got some sticks here caught on my line. And I put my foot in the foot loop. Here's my lower redundant bridge. It goes on the loop. And for those of you who've been watching the channel a while, I've got this best friend loop. I tied it with a sliding triple fisherman's knot just to make it even more reliable to engage in dark conditions. As I sit in the system, I'm going to make sure that my bridge is set at a height such that I can easily reach the top of these friction hitches, and I can lengthen my bridge as appropriate. Now, when I climb, it's a sit-stand method. I stand using the strength of one leg and two arms. But in prior videos, and this is pretty exciting stuff, the team had difficulty executing what I call the double shove. This is what I call the double shove, where I stand up and shoot these two up. Now, you will get comfortable with that in time. But for the team that's not, or just starting out, it turns out that these Longhorn Agile hitches are so performant that we can do it with one hand. We can do it with one hand. Or let's say I'm climbing and I want to be as absolute, I've got a deer bedded down right there and I don't want it to see me. I can really slowly stand up and then push these up with one hand. So let's see the rest of a normal climb. Pull the lines up through the garter, put my hand on top of the garter, and shoot those up. I've done this climb carrying 100 pounds of cast iron. I could do it with more if there was a place to hang it on my body. Now, I don't have a platform with me today, but if I did, I would stop at an appropriate height and I would attach my platform. If you, again, want to go optimally quiet and don't want any chance that the bark of the tree will make a sound, you can put this foot on the tree and then slowly put this foot up. It's all the easiest way to climb is like this, but if we want to be optimally quiet, there you go. This is about the height I'd put my platform, and I'd move up a little further. I never take my friction hitches until they're actually touching the tree. Always want to be able to get my hand inside of there. I'd spend my time here. I'd execute my hunt. When it's time to come down, I disengage my foot loop. Now, you could disengage it earlier, but I always like to have redundancy. And so at whatever time we remove our foot loop, I engage the Munter friction hitch. Now you've seen me both on a single and a doubled rope. You've seen me execute this Munter 100 times. So I'll just get on with it. But here's a great point. These Longhorn Agile hitches are incredibly easy to break. I could break them both with one hand. On this tree, well, they're about 6 inches apart, so I'll break them one at a time. I'll break the one on the left, and my body will shift a little slightly as tension is engaged by the Munter. And now I'll break the one on the right. Now all of my weight's on the Munter. I get these Longhorns and make sure they're really nice and loose. Very important for any friction hitch. You want to be engaging friction with your left hand. This brake hand here is the source of all of my friction, and these friction hitches are merely a backup. Watch, with 2 fingers, I can tend them. So let's say I had to stop and get my platform. I can slowly let go, and those hitches rebind, right? They do their job. I remove my platform, and I come on down. What's exciting here is that we've got a friction hitch in the Longhorn Agile that we can use for just about anything. I realize I've taken you through a trip here. I even named one after myself with the JRB Ascender, but the team is really happy with this Longhorn Agile, and I'm gravitating to it myself. I've got my Longhorn Agile even on my bridge. I'll be showing you this next, how to just use a Longhorn Agile, whether we're doing DSRT, as I'm executing right now, or whether we are doing SRT, or whether we are hitch climbing. But let's see that move one more time. Let's see that single shove. Single shove. In an emergency, we could rappel this way. I just put a little friction brake on my foot. If I just want to come down a few feet, I do this sometimes, but I don't have redundancy in that situation. Now, before we close, I said that this was a universal system. What did I mean? What I meant was I can climb SRT, I can climb DSRT, I can hitch climb, and I only have 3 friction hitches. I've got 1, 2, and on the other end, hidden away, I've got another Longhorn Agile. But this one is working towards the end. And the reason it's this direction is so that if I got to my position and I didn't want to be facing this way, I wanted to be facing a different direction, well then it's a simple matter of, let me just go around the other side of the tree to show you what I mean. I simply take the position I want, I set my platform there while I'm still attached to the tree, and then I form, whether you want to form a JRB hitch or a Maverick hitch. This is the Maverick. And I would cinch that to the tree and get on that. At whatever height I want. Maybe I didn't want to be tied in so high. I want to be in the same position. Now I've got this. Everyone's got different styles. Some people don't like a bridge this long. Some folks want to have their bridge really short and their friction hitch at eyeball height. See, I can do that and still have the other system engaged. It's a universal system. I can use it to climb any of those ways, and I can use it to reposition in the tree. Now, I rarely need this personally. There's a few trees where I do want to be facing the other direction, and so I'll engage that trick once in a while. But the more common need is to hitch climb. So I'll save that for another video. We got some exciting news coming up where I've got a custom-made pole that you can use. So if you don't have the luxury of getting into the woods before the season to get your paracord preset installed, and you want to do so, you want to be able to climb a tree as you walk up to that tree, we can do so with no slack. Sure, I know that we can use climbing sticks, but my only issue with most of the content I see about stick climbing is that the team isn't always tied to the tree and on zero slack. That's my issue. And I'm going to be showing you how you can do so. So let's take this system back down. I'm going to take my paracord preset. I'm going to put it back into the friction hitch. Disengage it. This is my butterfly coil method. So you might notice in some of my videos, the production quality or the lighting isn't the greatest, but you see a lot of these videos in one continuous take, and that's really the way I like to do them. I like these to be kind of underproduced and extra real, because that's the reality of climbing. I'm not trying to make this any easier than it is. Here's my paracord. I take it at a height where it's kind of out of the view of anyone and put it in an overhand loop. I shoot these back up. I take just a stick I found on the ground, put in a girth hitch, and I kid you not, I've got trees that have had a piece of paracord and that stick is still there after a decade, over a decade. I've got trees with this configuration. Visit them once in a while, and I might hunt them and I might not. When it's time for me to leave the woods, just reverse the process. Guard a hitch in my bag. And we've got options here. We just wear this over our shoulder. I'll do that for a short jaunt, or for a longer jaunt, I'll lengthen this and put it over my head. Okay, so I've got some exciting stuff coming up this season for you on the channel. I happen to be using my system from last year. This is the 9mm Rogue that you can find at Ape Canyon Outfitters. But we've got some new ropes as well coming in this year. We've got the Rougarou, and I'm excited to show you some climbs on the Rougarou and a universal system in which we can climb any tree. SRT, DSRT, hitch climbing. There's no tree we can't get into, and we're not going to need a stick to do it. And for those of you who prefer your sticks, well, I'm going to take some time and go out of my way and show you how you can climb using climbing sticks and not have any slack. All right, guys, thanks as always for your support if you're so inclined. I'm happy to take that support on Patreon. I've spent quite a lot on some research this winter, and you'll be seeing that in my content this year in 2024. Thanks as always.